Let me describe a feeling and you tell me if you know it. You set a money goal and it's a real one, and you tell yourself, when I hit that number, I will finally feel safe. I will finally be able to breathe. I will finally have made it. And then you hit it, and almost nothing happens. Maybe for a week you feel good, and then quietly the number moves. Now you need more. Now there is a bigger house, a nicer car, somebody online doing better than you, and that finish line you have been running toward your whole life just picked itself up and walked further away. I know that feeling because I've lived on that wheel for years. I built the life that I thought that I always wanted. The big house, the cars in the driveway. By every measure that this world hands you, I had made it. And I still had this quiet hum in the back of my mind that said, not yet, not enough, keep going. And it took me years to understand why. It was not because I needed more money, it was because I had never once stopped to decide how much was actually enough. So enough kept running away from me forever. So today, I want to give you the one number that finally makes the wheel stop. It is not the lottery, it is not $1 million. It is your enough number. And by the end of this video, I want you to actually pick yours. Welcome back to the channel. And if you are a Black woman in your 40s or your 50s looking at the second half of your life and you're quietly wondering when all the chasing finally ends, this video is for you. In my last video, I talked about walkaway money, the FU money, the runway that lets you quit a job that is draining the life out of you, and that number gets you out the door. This video is different. This is the number that makes sure that you never build yourself a brand new cage after you walked out of the old one. Because here's the trap that nobody warns you about. You finally escape the job, you start your own thing, or you step into your next chapter, and within a couple of years, you have quietly rebuilt the exact same hamster wheel that you ran away from. Same stress, same chasing, same never enough, just with your own name on it this time. So the enough number is how you stop that before it ever starts. And I have watched it happen to so many women. They leave the draining corporate job. They finally bet on themselves. And then 2 years later, they are working more hours than they ever did, answering messages at 11 o'clock at night, saying yes to everything, chasing the next client and the next dollar like their whole life depends on it. They did not get free. They just became their own worst boss. And the reason is always the same. They never decided what enough looked like. So the new thing, it just kept demanding more, and then they kept handing it more. And it is not only the women leaving corporate. I see it in the online space too. And this version is even sneakier. I have watched women start a humble little business and they do really well. And then they reach a certain level, they get a few accolades, they get invited into certain rooms, and then the same people who help them get there turn right around and start selling them the next thing, the next masterclass, the next mastermind, the next level. And a lot of the time with big promises that never quite hold up. Because now those teachers have a lifestyle of their own to feed. And these successful women are the ones funding these lifestyles. And here is the part that really gets me. In some of these circles, people tell themselves a story, and it's a very motivating, very compelling story. And then they use that story to justify putting a ridiculous price on something and then not even fully delivering on it. They tell themselves, I have reached this level now, so I'm entitled to this. And that word entitled is doing a whole lot of work. And then they wrap the whole thing on buzzwords: generational wealth, seven figure, millionaire. Now, let me be very clear because this part matters. Building real wealth for your family is important, especially for us. And I'm not knocking that for 1 second. What I am talking about is when those beautiful moments, those beautiful words, they get used like a spell, because the moment that somebody says millionaire, A lot of us throw our common sense straight out the window. We think, I want that too. And then we stop asking ourselves whether we even want the life that comes attached to it. And the cycle just keeps repeating because everybody learned it from somebody. And a lot of the time, the original playbook was written by a certain kind of man. That same bro marketer energy, waving that same old patriarchy who was never once thinking about women like us. So we just inherited this hunger and this hustle, and then we called it our own. So let me say the quiet part out loud. All this pressure to make more, to be a millionaire, to protect the image, it is not abundance. It is scarcity wearing a nicer outfit. It is the fear that if you ever stop climbing, then you stop mattering. And underneath all of it, the goal never actually changes. Make as much money as possible so that you can call yourself a millionaire, so that you can use that title to market yourself to make even more money. And then round and round and round for what? Now, hear me. I am not against making good money, and I want you to make really good money. But I want you to take a few steps back, get quiet, and listen to your own intuition, and then decide what success means to you. Not what the room says, not what the guru says. You. And one of the clearest way to do that is to choose your number, to decide how much is truly enough for you. And it is not so you can keep playing the American dream game, because make no mistake, that exactly what it is, a game. And right now, there are a whole lot of black women playing that game, running themselves into the ground to win a prize that they never once stopped to ask if they even wanted that prize. So let me show you how the wheel actually works, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. We are trained from the time that we are young to want more, and not a specific more, just more. More money, more house, more title, more followers. And nobody ever stopped to ask the one obvious question: more until what? More until when? Because a goal with no finish line is not a goal, it is a treadmill. And you can run on a treadmill your entire life and never get anywhere while telling yourself that the whole time that you're almost there. And it gets worse, because the more you make, the more your normal costs. The bigger paycheck quietly comes with the bigger house, the bigger car note, the bigger version of everything. So you look up 10 years later, making 2 or 3 times what you used to, and somehow you feel just as squeezed as before. You did not get free, you just got more expensive. And here's the coolest part of all: even when you finally hit that big number, the one that you swore would be changing your entire life, most people just feel let down, because you had loaded that number up with all this meaning. You thought that it will make you feel safe or free or finally worthy. And then you get there and it does not, because it is never really about the number. Now, let me make that real for you. Think about the last time that you got a raise, or the last good year that you had. For about a month, it felt amazing. And then what happened? You upgraded something: the car, the place, the vacation got a little nicer. And then very quietly, the new bigger income become your new normal. And then the new normal came with new bigger bills attached to it. So the breathing room that you thought you just bought closed right back up. That is not bad luck. That is the hamster wheel. It is built to swallow every extra dollar you make so that you never feel like you have arrived. And then on top of all of that, you pick up your phone and there is somebody with a bigger house on social media, a bigger lunch, a bigger everything, looking like they have it all figured out. So even the income that should have felt like a win suddenly feels small to you. And the will does not just live in your bank account, it lives in your head. And it is very, very good at making sure that whatever you have, it's never quite enough. So here is the move that changed everything. And It is actually so simple that almost nobody actually does it. You decide your enough number, not your fantasy yacht number, because you can rent those. So don't go and buy one. You can rent them with the staff, by the way. Make that your blow money. And not your cousin's number either. Not the number some influencer is screaming at you to hit so you can buy their course. Your own number, the amount of money that if you made it every single year, you will feel genuinely good. You will feel safe, you will feel free, able to live the life that you actually want to live. And then here's the radical part, you let that be enough. You stop sacrificing your one and only life trying to chase past it. Now, hear me, because this is important. The size of that number is not the point. Maybe your enough number is $80,000 a year. Maybe it is 150,000. Maybe it is more than that. It does not matter what it is. What matters is that you picked it on purpose based on the life that you actually want instead of the one that the whole world picked in endless numbers that you can never reach. Because let me tell you, the day that you name your number, the wheel finally gets a finish line. And the moment there is a finish line for the first time in your life, you can actually win the race. And I need to say something here because I know that it's going to come up for some of you. You might do this exercise and then you land on a number that feels almost embarrassingly reasonable. And then there's this little voice that is going to whisper, that is it? That's it? That's all you want? Shouldn't you want more than that? That voice is the will talking, the hamster wheel. Ignore it. There is nothing wrong with an enough number that is calm and grounded and human. The most free people I have ever met are not the ones chasing the biggest number. They are the ones who looked at a number that would give them a genuinely good life and had the courage to say, yes, that one. That is enough for me, and I am going to go build my whole life around it. And if no one has ever told you that you are allowed to decide what enough is and then stop, go ahead and subscribe, because that is exactly the kind of permission that I hand out on this channel. Okay, so let me show you what this looks like in real life. Now, if you run your own business or you are about to start one, this idea is going to save your life. And I am only half joking, because you can build a small, simple business that hits your enough number with a tiny team and your peace of mind fully intact. Or you can build a giant one that makes more money on paper, but it eats every hours that you have and every bit of sleep that you can get. And we are taught that bigger is always better. Go from 6 figures to 7, scale, scale, scale. At the team, at the overhead, at the pressure. But listen, a business that makes your enough number and then gives you your mornings back so you can go to the gym, for instance, it can be worth so much more than one that makes triple and then owns you completely. You get to choose the size of the thing that you build. You get to choose the container. And most people never even realize that choosing was allowed. So they just assume that the only direction is up and more and bigger forever until they burned all the way out. You do not have to build a $10 million machine to fund a life that really only costs you a fraction of that. You get to right size the whole thing around your enough. Now, let me paint you a picture so that this is not just theory. So imagine a woman who decides that her enough number is $90,000 a year. That is the number where her life works. Her bills are covered. She travels a little. She helps her people. She sleeps at night. Now she has a choice. She could chase a $500,000 business with a big team and a lot of payroll and a lot of stress and a lot of hours. And yes, she would make more money. Or she could build a small focused thing that clears her $90,000 that she can run on a 24-hour work week, for instance. And that is with 2 or 3 good people working for her. And then she spends the rest of her time actually living her life. Same woman, 2 completely different lives. And the only thing that decided which one she got was whether she knew her number before she started building. Most people never get that choice because they never name the number. So they default to more. They build the giant stressful thing without ever once asking themselves if they actually wanted it. And then they wake up trapped inside the very business that was supposed to set them free, to give them generational wealth. And I learned a lot of this the hard way. For years, I did not have an enough number. So I just kept chasing a bigger house, nicer cars, the next level, and then the next one after that. And I lost myself. And I told myself it was ambition. I told myself this was the dream that I crossed a big ocean from Haiti to build. So, of course, I should want more of it, right? And then one day, I'm sitting in a little cafe far from home with a cheap cappuccino in front of me, doing absolutely nothing, no emails, nowhere I had to be. And then I felt more free and more at peace than the entire expensive life had ever made me feel. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. The thing that I had been chasing all that money for, the peace, the freedom, the quiet morning with nowhere to be, it was available the whole entire time. And I had spent years earning way past my enough trying to buy it when I could have just decided that I already had enough and stopped a long time ago. I was not being ambitious. I was just running because I had never once given myself permission to stand still. Now, I know exactly what some of you are feeling right now because I felt it too. You are probably thinking, but it is irresponsible to stop wanting more. I have people depending on me. I am supposed to keep climbing the ladder, keep providing, keep going until I cannot go anymore. And a lot of us were raised to believe that wanting enough is the same thing as being lazy, that you grind for the family, you carry every single load that gets handed to you, and then you never ever put it down. Especially as Black women, especially as immigrants, we were taught that our worth lives in how much we can carry, and that stopping is a luxury meant for other people, never for us. So let me say this to you as plainly as I possibly can. Choosing your enough number is not lazy. It is not giving up. It is the single most powerful financial decision that you will ever make, because it is the only one that actually ends the chasing of the American dream. Everybody else is going to run a race with no finish line until the day they die. You are going to be one of the rare, brave ones who draws their own. So let me make this real and simple the way that I always try to, with 2 steps. And I want you to do them this week. So step 1, decide the life first. Then you decide the number. I want you to sit down and then you picture your actually good life. And it's not the flashy one for the internet, the real one. The home that feels right for you, the food, the travel you would actually do, the people that you would help, a real cushion so that you can sleep at night. And yes, you add some fun to it because you are allowed to enjoy this. And then add up honestly what the life costs you in 1 year. That number right there, it is your enough number. And then step 2, I want you to name your enough number out loud and then write it down. Put it somewhere that you can see it. The income you would be truly happy making year after year. That number is now your finish line. You build toward it. And the day you hit it, you have my full permission to stop climbing and start living. Because you can always choose to go further later if you want to. But from desire, not from fear, and not because somebody told you that you need to. And here's how you know that you got your number right. It should feel a little bit uncomfortable to say it out loud because we have been so trained to always answer more that naming a real finite number is going to feel almost like you are doing something wrong. And you are not. That little flinch that you feel is just the will losing its grip on you. So sit with the number anyway and let it be enough. So hear me on this because I know some of you are sitting there right now feeling like you are behind. You are not behind. You have been running a race that was designed from the very start to never end. That was never your failure. That was the design. And the second that you can see the design, it loses its power on you. And you did not waste those years either. You were surviving them. You were raising people. You were doing the very best that you could with what you knew at the time. And nobody sat us down and taught us this. We are getting it now. And now is exactly when it counts. It is not too late, not at 50 years old, not at 55 years old, not at 60. The second half of your life can be the part where you finally stop chasing a number that was always going to run from you and you choose the one that lets you rest. So my last video got you out of the job. This one makes sure that you never trap yourself in a brand new cage again. So put them together and that is the whole map. Get free and then stay free. If that is the kind of conversation that you want more of, subscribe and then stay with me because we are only just getting started on the second half of life. And in the comments, I want you to be brave and I want you to tell me your enough number. Or if that feels too personal, then tell me what your enough life looks like. The morning, the Tuesday, the quiet cup of coffee with nowhere to be, your ideal vacation for a whole month. I read every single one of them. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Webley and you are not behind and it is not too late and I will see you in the next one.